Well, there are several things that probably need to be addressed because this truly is going to probably be the worst budget for things that most Oklahomans care about: education, healthcare, public safety. Probably the worst budget for those core services in a generation. When you're looking at a $1.3 billion hole, there are no quick, easy fixes. And so from our perspective, there are going to be cuts. But there also needs to be some real lessons learned out of this. And while the price of oil is a major cause of why we are where we are, there are other, in our perspective, systemic problems that have helped put us here as well. And so what we're hoping as the House Democratic Caucus, as the minority leader, sort of what I'm hoping is that as we find a way to cobble together the money to fix this budget hole the best we can, that we also fix the systemic problems. And those, in our opinion, revolve around tax credits. They revolve around what we believe are some irresponsible tax cuts that happened in the last few years. And we want to make sure that as we fix those problems, we don't shift the burden from some of those folks who could best afford it onto the backs of, say, farmers and ranchers in Oklahoma by making them pay higher property taxes or higher sales taxes in their local community.
So education is also facing quite a big crisis. What's your plan for the future? Rather than a short-term fix, do you have a plan?
Yeah, so from our perspective, in order to really tackle education, it's a multifaceted approach. You've got to make sure you're hiring the best and brightest teachers, which means you've got to find a way to pay your teachers more, period. You just have to. B, you've got to find a way to lower class sizes. When you've got third grade classrooms that have 28 or 30 or 32 kids in them, that's going to be really problematic. So you've got to find those. Both take resources, but you've got to find a way to do that. But another part that people don't talk about a lot, but is absolutely a part of fixing the education problem in Oklahoma, is we've got to attack our systematic poverty situation in Oklahoma. You look at some of our inner city schools and even some of our poorer rural communities where the education outcomes are not what we'd like them to be. In part, it's not because those kids aren't good kids or the teachers aren't good teachers. It's because a lot of those folks go home to broken homes, to parents who mom or dad may not be there. They're not sure where the next healthy meal is going to be there. They're not sure who's there to kick them in the tail and tell them to go do their homework. And so we've got to, if we're going to really solve public education's problems, we can't just throw money at one side of it and just ignore the effect that poverty has on our kids. It has to be an overall approach to solving education in Oklahoma.
All right, so in the next 50 years, Oklahoma's water infrastructure is estimated to cost, improvements to it are expected to cost about $80 billion. What are your thoughts on improving water for all of Oklahomans and making sure that our state is prepared for the future?
Yeah, our caucus's position on the issue of water is to make sure that we protect our natural resources, make sure that the folks in Oklahoma have access to those waters. We have real concerns when some folks come up and say, well, we're going to try to find a way to sell water to Texas or others. Our caucus isn't there. That's not where we believe we should be. We think we need to be focused on Oklahoma's needs, our citizens' needs all across the state, eastern, western, northern, southern parts of Oklahoma, and making sure they have access to good quality water for drinking as well as for agricultural purposes.